This hour, we continue to closely watch Vatican City. This is a live look at the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. We have had our eye on it for several hours now, waiting for smoke that will signal the cardinals inside have cast their first ballots. Black smoke will mean they haven't picked a new pope, and white smoke will mean they have. But history tells us it's unlikely there will be a new pope elected on the first day of the conclave, and there it is. You can see some black smoke coming out of the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. Let's listen. CBC's chief correspondent Adrian Arsenault is in Vatican City with our Vatican analyst David Perlich. So here we go, the moment people have been waiting for. Tell us what we're seeing.
Well, Andrew, actually, I find this fascinating because people are applauding, and I think it's not because there's black smoke, it's because there's smoke, period, at this point. This has been a very long and unusually long wait for the smoke, and people were starting to ask questions and starting to write to Vatican Radio, like, is it possible they're not voting tonight? Could there be white smoke on the first night? The answer to that was unusual, not impossible. But no, there you go, black smoke. We won't know why it took so long, and we won't know what that is indicative of. Possibly nothing, except for the fact that there are 133 cardinals in the Sistine Chapel who have been voting, and it's never been that big before. But David Perlich, who knows all things Vatican, in my books.
I wouldn't go that far.
What do you make of two things? Firstly, how great these people came out here. 45,000 people in St. Peter's Square, according to certainly a Vatican Radio. They're leaving now because they've seen what they need to see. They've
seen the black smoke, so they're leaving. You can bet your bottom dollar that most of them will be back in the morning.
Absolutely. What is it? I mean, it's impossible to know what to read into it, but you find it unusual, no, that it took so long?
I find it unusual that it took so long, but it is possible that there were so many new cardinals that actually just explaining the rules and going through this first ballot, we know that there was a preacher inside in the beginning. We don't know how long he may have spoken. So certainly, and because there were 133 men who have to walk up to an altar, and
right.
It could be a compounding of different things. I don't think we can read anything about the interplay of the conclave into this.
In terms of the way the votes normally go.
Yes.
So this vote, where there wasn't obviously 89, which would be 2/3, what is the story that then starts to tell you?
So traditionally in the first ballot, there's 3, maybe 4 who get quite a few votes, and then a larger number of cardinals who may get 2 or 3. Those are sort of almost a courtesy vote. I think you've done a very good job. You're a very holy person. So that's what this ballot normally is it gives them just a rough idea of the early voting patterns. And this procedure is actually, I think, really quite smart because it allows them to do this, to get a bit of a read on the vote and the conclave, and then they get to go have supper and sleep on this, so tomorrow they can bring their reflections and their thinking and their discernment to the next vote.
And it's around, I'm going to presume, a dinner table where some fascinating conversations start to happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they'll be gathering at tables in the Casa San Marta this evening is still as part of the conclave, and they'll be talking about the numbers. There'll be quiet conversations, but it'll all be done in that very particular style of romanità, sort of graceful, gentle, but yes, there will be a lot of conversations this evening.
And Andrew, I'm not sure if you can tell from looking at the screen, but people are just, it's like a concert just let out.
Well,
everyone is booking it out of here.
I was just gonna ask you both. As we saw this happen, and all of a sudden I was, reading, and then I just was told smoke, and then I saw it myself, and then you could hear the cheering and the clapping, and just tell us a little bit about kind of why, for so many people, just the intrigue, the setting, just makes this so special.
Wow, I'm going to leave the important answer to that to David, but I'm going to give you the superficial answer,
Sure.
Which would be mine, which is that I think, there's a simplicity to this. We don't know what's going on, and you just stare at this tiny stack, and it gives you the answer, yes or no. And I think the communal experience of it is something that humans fundamentally need, whether it is a secular experience or a religious one. This something that you're all watching together in real time is very powerful.
I think you're absolutely right. It's a collective experience. This conclaves happen so seldom. The last one was 12 years ago. That you're lucky if you get to see a few of them in your lifetime. So tonight you can come together with tens of thousands of others and witness a bit of history, and you will always know where you were. So I think that sense of the coming together and the unknowing, there is no timeline, it's on its own timeline, that builds anticipation. And that's the sort of the human aspect of it. And then, of course, for people who are deeply within the faith, these are supremely spiritual moments.
Absolutely.
And so, thank you for the sizzle and the steak, right? Thank you for the sizzle and the steak. I think we're interested in both, right?
Am I the sizzle? Does that make sense? I don't know.
You are both. Go ahead, Adrian.
I was just going to say, while we were waiting, because people are as creative as they are, there was a very cheeky seagull that was positioning itself in the shot, if you can imagine it, as we perceived it anyway, constantly lurking near that chimney. And so I think it didn't take long for that gull to get its own social media account, and then for people to create an AI image of the gull in as the Pope, saying we have a Pope now. People aren't terribly patient, right?
No,
they want an answer right away.
I think they also want
fun.
the fun.
Yeah,
they want the fun while they wait.
Absolutely. So this was the one vote for tonight, and as David said, they are heading back to eat. They are going to go to sleep. Tomorrow's a big day, Andrew. I think, mathematically, traditionally, historically, tomorrow is a very important day. The average time it takes is 2.7 days, or between 5 and 6 rounds of voting. So there will be 2 rounds of voting in the morning. You won't see black smoke until the second vote of the first round. Of course, if there's a pope, you'll see white smoke right away. And then there's an afternoon early evening session of voting. If it hasn't been sorted by tomorrow, that's a little unusual, is it not?
It would tell us that no one is a runaway candidate. It would tell us that that it's going to be a more complicated conclave for sure.
Which is not necessarily a statement about the Pope at all.
No, not at all. It could just be that the votes, if there's a candidate who's moving forward, but it becomes apparent they've got a lot of votes, but that they can't hit the 2/3 majority, then it's if those votes leave that candidate, where do they go? That's where the complexity comes in.
Right. It's not an election in the traditional sense, but some of these conversations certainly sound like conversations we were having just about a week ago about if one, where do the votes go?
Where do the votes go?
So I would say, Andrew, for us, sitting here at St. Peter's Square watching people leave, looking at the amazing artwork and the sculptures and the history before us, tonight, this is it. There is nothing more that can happen here this evening. This is it. And it begins again tomorrow. and we will see what story tells. But on the edge of your frame, when you see those television screens there with the chimney, it's just very small in your picture. The gull is back. So
of course,
I feel like we're going to be spending some quality time looking at that cheeky seagull.
And I think it was quite nice that the black smoke was really black.
Yeah.
So hopefully the white smoke will be
Absolutely,
very white.
yes.
No confusion.
As long as the weather cooperates and the sky is not a mix of gray and black and white, then we'll be okay.
Clarity is always good. Adrian, David, thank you. Adrian Arsenault and David Perlich live in Vatican City.